We all know that if you're in a car accident in the state of Kentucky, you should always notify the police to come to the accident scene to take a report. There may be some rare occasions where there's an accident with truly no damage at all, but normally, to be on the safe side, you should always contact the police anytime you're involved in any kind of accident whatsoever. And we know that the accident report that's going to be taken by the police officer is going to contain a lot of important information about that accident. But do you know how much information is in a typical police report of a car accident in Kentucky? And if you've been in an accident, would you know how to read the police report in order to find out all the information that's contained in that report? Hi, I'm Brad Harville, Kentucky car accident and no-fault attorney, practicing law here in the state of Kentucky for 30 years. And I'm about to show you how to read a Kentucky car accident report just like a pro. So you can read a police report just as well as an attorney or an adjuster can. I'm going to show you a typical police report of a car accident in which one driver wasn't paying attention and ran a stop sign and hit the other car. Now this is a real police report, so I've blocked out all of the personally identifying information of the persons involved just to be able to show you all of the important information you can find in a police report and how important it is to your accident case. So let me show you this video I've prepared to show you all the information that's contained in a typical police report of a car accident here in Kentucky.
Okay, so here's our report. This is just a 4-page police report. Pretty simple accident, just 2 cars, 2 drivers involved. And the parts of the report I'm going to talk about are going to expand as I talk about them. So you see there at the top of the page that this report was investigated by the Jeffersontown Police Department here in eastern Jefferson County. At the bottom of the page is the identity of the investigating officer, the badge number or ID number, and below that the supervisor who reviewed the report. Then up here at the top right we see the collision date and time. This accident occurred on January 16, 2014 at approximately 8:26 a.m. in the morning. Then we see below the police department that the accident occurred at Lynn Station Road here in Louisville, near the intersection of Timberwood Circle and Lakeshore Court. And the speed limit on that roadway at the time of the accident was 35 miles per hour. Then we're going to get some details about the weather at the time of the accident. We see here that it was clear and dry, so no weather conditions contributed to cause the accident. And then above that we see some details about the roadway where it happened. The collision occurred at an angle. Roadway was straight, level. There was a stop sign where it happened. Below that we see that there was no first aid called to the scene, so this was reported as a non-injury accident. And then at the bottom here we also see that no photos were taken at the accident scene. If this had been a more serious case, you would have expected to see some photos taken. Now we're looking at page 2 of the report, which is the narrative part of the report, where the officer writes down what he or she was able to determine about how the accident happened. This says that the driver of Unit 1 said she was pulling out from a shopping center and stopped at a stop sign. And then she said Unit 2 suddenly swerved over and struck her vehicle while she was stopped. But Unit 2 said she was going straight on Lynn Station Road, and suddenly Unit 1 pulled out in front of her, striking her vehicle, basically saying she ran the stop sign and ran into her. The driver of Unit 2 also said that her shoulder was hurting and that she was possibly going to go to the emergency room but declined EMS at the scene. Now we're looking at page 3 of the report, which has a lot of information about the driver of Unit 1. The thing you need to understand here is that the police officers, if they make a determination of fault in Kentucky, they generally always list the driver that they consider to be at fault as Unit 1. So here we list the name of the operator, and then below that, other persons involved. In this case, it just repeats the same information for the operator. If there were any passengers, they would be listed here. And then we see her vehicle information, her make and model, VIN number, plate number, and her insurance information, which is important. And then we see below there that at the time of the accident, she said she was slowing or stopped. Her speed is listed here. This is kind of unusual. They don't always list speed in these reports, but her speed, she stated, was between 5 and 15 miles per hour. The area of contact on her vehicle was to the front of her vehicle. And here's the bad news. It's listed her under human factors as contributing to the accident, it's got her down for inattention. She just wasn't paying attention and ran the stop sign. And then at the bottom, she was not suspected of any drinking. This was not a drunk driving case. And then finally, in the persons involved section, we see all these little numerical codes. Well, what do these numerical codes mean? They don't really make any sense by themselves. Well, in order to figure out what those mean, you need something called a code sheet, which are pretty easy to find if you just Google something like Kentucky Traffic Accident Police Report Code Sheet. You can pull one up and download it. And here's what one of these looks like. It's got all these little codes for these factors that are listed on the police report. And we're going to take these codes and we're going to take the ones from our report for the driver of Unit 1, and we're going to talk about what each of these codes means. The first code under box 14 tells what the person was doing in the vehicle. In this case, she's listed as both 8 and 1, meaning she was both the driver and the owner of the car. Box 15 asks if she was transported to a medical facility. The answer there is no. The next box is box 16. What was the driver's position in the vehicle? Well, she was in position 1 because she's in the driver's seat. Obvious enough. Box 17, injury severity. She did not report any injury, so she's coded as number 5, no injury detected, none detected. Box 18, location of injury. Since she didn't report any injury, that box is blank. Box 19, which is pretty important, is restraint use. And here she's coded as number 1, meaning she was wearing her shoulder and her lap belt. Box 20 codes whether the airbag was equipped and whether it deployed. And here it's coded that she did have an airbag in her car and it did not deploy because of the accident. So it wasn't severe enough to cause airbag deployment. Or at least it wasn't the correct angle. And now finally we're on page 4 of the report. This contains the information for the driver of Unit 2, who was not considered to be at fault for this accident. Pretty much the same stuff that we saw for the driver of Unit 1. There's her identifying information, which I blacked out. Then we see the area of contact to her vehicle, the front right bumper, moderate damage. Her estimated travel speed was between 10 to 20 miles per hour, and her car likewise had to be towed away from the scene.
So there's an overview of all the important information we look for whenever we get a police report in a car accident case here in the state of Kentucky. Now, this report wasn't a real serious accident. There were no major injuries or deaths involved. And those reports can be a lot more involved than the one we just looked at. Now, if you've been in a recent accident and you have a copy of a police report, but you would like some help in understanding all the information that's in it, or maybe you would just like to get a copy of a police report but don't know how to get it, please feel free just to pick up the phone and call me at 502-245-2333 or send me an email at bdh@harvillelaw.com. If you don't already have a copy of the police report and we can find it for you online, we'll be happy to send you a copy of it complimentary at no charge to you. We'll also be glad to send you a copy of my book, 20 Questions About Kentucky No Fault, which contains some very important information for anyone who's been injured in a car or truck accident here in the state of Kentucky. We'll be glad to answer any questions you may have, and we'll be happy to assist you in any way that we can. That's today's Kentucky Personal Injury Minute. I'm Brad Harville, and I hope you have a great day.